And I'm Erin.
And you're listening to Ropedrop Parkhop.
Hello, friends.
Hi.
Do you know?
Tell me.
People like our weather reports.
Some people do. We don't hear from the people that don't like them, though, so.
Maybe everybody likes them.
Maybe.
It's nice today.
It's so nice. This is the fall we've been waiting for. It's like low, mid-70s every day. Cools off at night. The leaves are changing. It's beautiful.
It is beautiful. So, Boise in the fall is a winner.
Yes.
Not in the summer, not in the winter.
No, but the spring is nice, too.
And the fall.
Yes.
2 seasons, that's it. The other 2 are garbage.
All right, shall we read a review?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do they like the weather report?
They might. Let's see.
Okay.
This is from Boo Muffin 123.
Which we feel like we've already read this one, too. We're having lots of deja vu with these.
I think people just have super creative names and they stick with us after we've read them once.
Maybe.
To ourselves.
That's probably it.
Lovely and kind Disney. I don't know.
Lovers.
Experienced podcasters.
Yes.
We're just going to fill in the blanks.
Yes.
Sorry. Aaron and Katie literally care about your Disneyland vacay. I asked them questions over direct messages on Instagram, and they took the time to actually think through their advice and guide me based on all the particulars of our trip. Listening to their conversations is relaxing and soothing. Their banter sparkles, and they showcase the very best of Disney. With all the expense of the new programs, individual Lightning Lane, Genie Plus, etc., maximizing your experience adds tremendous value to your vacation. These are the ladies to guide you through the chaos into the value. Thanks so much for going for it, ladies. And then some emojis. And that was a very well-written review.
Thank you.
I know.
You know what I like the most about some of these reviews is that people think that we like each other.
We have them so fooled.
We walk out of the recording studio and I'll trip her, she'll shove me, and we don't.
We sit and we have knife fights in the parking lot.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's like Fantasyland. Did you see that?
No, but I was
Latest
listening
update.
to No, tell me in a second. But I was listening to a podcast. You know Dax Shepard and his Armchair Expert podcast?
No, I know who Dax Shepard is.
Okay,
though.
well, he has
never listened to it.
A podcast called Armchair Expert, which is now, I think, exclusively on Spotify. So I haven't listened in a very long time. But he has a guy, Barrier, I think is his last name. Anyway, he's a journalist. He's from New Zealand.
Okay.
And he's doing a series on Armchair Expert. And
Okay.
he did 2 episodes on Disney adults. And one of the episodes he did on Disney adults, he talked about Disney gangs, the Disney clubs.
Yes.
And there's a club called Toontown Fight Club, I think is what it's called. And of course, it's based on the Toontown fight of, what was it, 2018?
Yes.
Yeah.
And they have motorcycle jackets and all of that.
And patches.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
I love it.
We should get some gang jackets.
Really funny.
We could start a rope drop gang. Who would join?
I don't know.
We could see. Let's put our feelers out.
Yeah, tell us who would join us.
Let's start our own Disney social club, a.k.a. Disney gang.
Perfect.
We'll all be a bunch of moms.
So I guess there was a fight in Fantasyland and Disney World not too long ago.
Oh, I do remember this.
And one of the perpetrators was an aspiring Disney actor. He'd been in a couple of TV shows.
No way.
Yes, that's what I read anyway.
That's funny. Huh.
So before we get into the news segment, quick reminder to go on Instagram right this minute because our giveaway is ending tonight. If you're listening to this on Friday morning, it's a big giveaway, guys. We officially hit 100,000 downloads.
Yay! We don't know which button is the
I know. I was
button.
just looking for the applause button. But deep down inside, we know you're all applauding. So thank you for helping us get there. Our thank you to you is this big giveaway. So go check it out. Make sure you're following us.
Do
What
all the
else?
things.
Yes.
You follow, you tag a couple friends because we really want some exposure. So we want you to share us. And I hate tagging friends in giveaways, and I always feel bad doing it, but it's how we can get our name out there, and it's how you can help us spread the news, the good news of our Disneyland podcast. So we appreciate it.
And thank you to everyone who has entered already. We've seen some very kind words on our post, and we're very grateful for that.
We're very grateful.
It makes our day.
And hopefully one of you listening wins, and hopefully you love what we chose for you. All right. And before news, I must apologize because I got called out for... Actually, I have 2 follow-ups. Number 1, I got called out for calling Figment a dinosaur. Figment is not a dinosaur. He is a dragon, which I knew. I don't know why I said dinosaur, but that is apparently what came out of my mouth.
Sometimes your mouth gets ahead of your brain.
Oh, I
It's
have
fine.
stories. I have stories. In fact, I have one I should share sometime. It's pretty funny. Remind me.
Okay.
And then I was going to follow up also on the gift card saga. I probably will reach out to Disney at some point. about this. And I had someone reach out to me who has a little bit of knowledge in this area. And she said that probably I need to reach out to Disney because she felt like it was pretty shady. And she actually almost worried about maybe some
employee theft,
right,
is what she talked about. Hopefully it's not that. Hopefully it's just a mistake that somebody made and couldn't figure out how to fix it.
And could use a little bit of extra training,
Yes.
maybe to not have it happen again. But she said the same thing kind of that I said last week, where we've never heard of not being able to use a full balance on your gift card. That makes zero sense. And she said in the state of California, it's actually not legal to take money off of a gift card, to charge if you don't use it, things like that.
Right.
And so she said it really didn't make sense how it was handled. So I'll probably reach out to Disney at some point and
keep
give
us
them some
updated.
feedback. Yeah. All right. News.
100th celebration, 100th year of the Walt Disney Company celebration.
Not Disneyland's 100th birthday.
Right,
I've seen that all over.
That'll be in the next, 30 years?
Right. That 30 years
32
flew by. Yes. No, that's not happening yet. This is the 100th birthday of the Disney Company.
Right. Big things happening, though. So starting January 27th, we have a new parade, which is a new old parade.
Right.
Right. Magic happens. Magic happened for about 2 weeks in 2020. So it's happening
and then
again.
there was no magic
and then there
for
was
the rest
no
of
more
the
magic.
year.
There will be a new World of Color, which is called One. Starting at DCA on January 27th. New fireworks show called Wondrous.
Wondrous. Yes.
That will be fun.
And then big announcement, which actually I was quite surprised with, is Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway is opening on January 27th as well.
Yeah.
And when they talked about it at D23 a couple of weeks ago, they said spring of 2023. And this was a huge surprise to get this. Normally, spring of 2023 would mean like August. But
I feel like they have their seasons off a little bit because I saw an announcement that said the parade was also coming back spring 2023 and January 27th is not spring in my mind.
maybe they just got real excited and thought they could do it.
Maybe.
With the opening of Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, however, all of Toontown will not be opening.
Oh, just that?
Just that.
Interesting.
I know, which I'm curious how they will manage that. So Toontown will still be opening sometime in spring.
Right.
But they're opening, which, I'm sorry, guys. Bad news. Roger Rabbit won't be open until spring.
Shoot.
I know. Let's have a moment of silence. Okay, anyway.
Okay. So, but Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, we've talked about it a million times, is one of the best rides ever made. So I'm really excited to have that on our coast.
Yes.
And yeah, all that 100th celebration stuff is going to be fun. Now, all that being said, reservations are paused currently.
Yes.
You cannot make reservations past January 8th currently. So
there's a lot of speculation as to why. A couple of things that we have read. Number one, a price increase on tickets, which I think is likely.
yeah,
So if you have plans to go next year at all, buy tickets now.
buy tickets now. And you can buy tickets now and make reservations for sometime in December or November or whatever, and then change them when those other reservations become available. Or you can buy through a third party.
And I will tell you, I just researched this the other day for a friend. We've talked about purchasing tickets at Target and using your red card to receive a discount. You can use your 5% Target red card discount and buy tickets through them. Their tickets that they're selling right now do not expire until I believe it's January 12th of 2024. So,
so you have a whole year to use them.
So you can buy tickets through a third party, specifically Target, I know will last through the whole year of 2023.
Yep. And then you can also buy through a travel agent and not have date-specific tickets. And then they can watch for those reservations for you.
Yes.
So those are your options. And yeah, so
And I would do it.
If you are planning on going, buy them now, because once there are whisperings of a price increase, it tends to happen pretty fast and they don't really give a warning.
The other speculation is that maybe they're going to be releasing Magic Keys again for purchase. I've seen that speculation in a couple of places, which would be awesome. We'll see if that happens, but that'd be great. And yeah, so we'll keep you posted as we hear information. I imagine within the next couple of weeks there will be some sort of announcement and those dates will become available.
Yeah. And then California Adventure is closing early on November 16th. Nobody knows why. Probably a private event of some kind, but keep that in mind if you have a trip coming up then. You will not be able to do World of Color that evening. I think it closes at 5, maybe 6. I can't remember now.
And then we talked about some refurbishments last week. Monsters, Inc. is going down on the 1st of November. It is reopening on the 20th of November.
That's a pretty extensive
almost 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Indy, however, we speculated last week that maybe they would be fixing some things that really needed fixing. You guys, it's down for 3 days. It's closed from the 14th of November through the 16th, and it will reopen on the 17th of November. So
maybe it only takes 3 days to fix that ball.
And everything else.
Maybe
They're just really skilled and they can get in there and do it all in 3 days. That'd be amazing.
Yeah, it would.
And then guided tours are back. And there are 2 specific guided tours that are available at this time. Reservations are available right now. And they've already started right back up. The first one is Walt's Main Street Story.
Right. And that, like she said, tickets are available for those now, reservations. So Walt's Main Street Story, it's a 90-minute tour, and it's $160 per person. They started October 6th, and here's what the tour includes. You get a walking tour down Main Street, USA, a visit to Walt's legendary apartment, refreshments on the apartment patio, which
looks like a cookie.
Is a cookie. And then a photo of your party with digital downloads and a commemorative lanyard.
So if you see pictures of people visiting Walt's apartment, this is what they're doing.
And then the second tour is Holiday Time at the Disneyland Resort. And that includes reserved viewing for a Christmas fantasy parade, holiday treats, and it's a Small World holiday, which I'm guessing means you get to go through the Lightning Lane for Small World holiday, right?
Probably skip the line.
That's a 2.5-hour tour for $110 per person, and those begin November 11th. However, reservations are available now.
So do you want some opinion?
Let's do it.
We talked about this a little. Let's get a little salty. We also, in our reviews, we get a lot of appreciation for how honest we are.
Yes.
I'm a little disappointed in this. And I'll give you a little backstory. I've mentioned it before. My husband, Dustin, and my son, Asher, did the old tour, Walk in Walt's Disneyland Footsteps, in 2019. And I believe the fee for that was $109, $106. It was less than $110 for each of them to do that. And it was a 3-hour tour. They got to skip the line on a couple of different attractions. They went into Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln. They rode Alice in Wonderland. And it all ended with a lunch in the tour garden and a visit to Walt's apartment.
So a lot more
yes,
for a lot less.
A lot more for a lot less money. I feel like Disney's kind of taking advantage of people who want to visit Walt's apartment. It's a very popular, or it's something that's very coveted, I guess.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people who love Disney and love Disney history really want to go up and visit Walt's apartment. And I feel like this tour, they've increased the price and they've kind of taken away what they offer just to take advantage of people who want to go in the apartment.
Well, and it's kind of the way things are trending, right? Post-COVID, we are starting to see price increases for less value.
Yeah.
And people will pay it.
And I feel like COVID was really a great opportunity for large businesses, not small businesses, but for large businesses like Disney to reset and to come back. And, you know, if we had, in the course of 3 years, if they had taken away over half of the tour and then charged $60 more, people would have kind of squawked a little bit, I think. And it's a lot easier to do that when there's been no tour available for 2.5 years.
Right.
So I'm a little disappointed. The Holiday Time one sounds like a better deal to me. There is no Walt's apartment, so...
But reserved viewing for the parade is great.
The best parade ever.
That's right. Who doesn't want reserved viewing for a Christmas fantasy? So you can have that song stuck in your head and then the Small World holiday song stuck in your head for the rest of your days.
They should call it the Holiday Time Earworm Tour.
For just $110.
Anyway, we know a lot of people are excited about Walt's Main Street Story. I'm not trying to detract from that.
No.
It is very cool to get up and to Walt's apartment and visit it. My husband and my son really enjoyed it, and they still talk about it.
Yeah, I agree.
So if this is something that appeals to you, it's a great opportunity. I'm just a little disappointed that they're not offering a little bit more, maybe for a little bit less.
And here's something we haven't talked about yet. Did you notice that they changed the light fixture out in the window? Nobody knows why.
I saw it when I was there.
And it's not like the lamp that is there was the original.
This one, apparently, the new one that's there now is more aligned.
Closer to the original. Interesting.
It's round, and it looks old.
It does.
So I wonder what the story is behind why. But
some people were really upset.
Of course they were.
They walked by and saw a different light fixture, and it really threw them off. Because Walt's spirit is no longer there because the light fixture changed. All right, quick. Couple of new characters coming to DCA. The Werewolf at Night, the werewolf from Werewolf at Night is at DCA already, right? In Avengers Campus.
Yes.
And then M'Baku from the new Black Panther movie will be appearing, I would guess, to coincide with the release of the movie, which is in November. And I think that's it.
Yes, and really quick before we end our little news segment, we have some guests today, which we're very excited about. We have Dan and Jordan from Disneyland Forever podcast, and we've made buddies with them. They're totally cool guys. We're excited to have them. And when you hear the content of our episode, this announcement will make a little bit more sense. But we have something kind of exciting coming up, guys.
We do. We're really excited. Are we announcing it today?
Sure.
Let's go for it.
Yeah.
Okay, so we are expanding to the East Coast.
We're headed to Walt Disney World.
We are going to do a research trip for you at Walt Disney World. Yay!
Yes. So starting soon, we're going to be doing one episode a month, I think is what we've talked
like that.
about.
Yes, that's the plan.
Yes, we're going to take you along our journey. We're obviously Disneylanders. We've both been to Walt Disney World a couple of times, but it's still fairly new to us. So we're going to take you along with us as we plan our vacation, as we plan our trip. It's a work trip, guys.
A business trip.
As we plan our trip, and we're hopefully going to be able to help some of you who might have Walt Disney World vacations coming up.
Yeah.
Plan it as well. Did you know when I went to Walt Disney World last year, here's something, maybe you guys, if you're listening and you're a Disneylander, maybe you don't know this. I did not know that there was a parking lot for every park.
Oh, yeah.
And that was one thing that when I started doing some research on the trip, it surprised me to know that there was there were 4 different parking lots for 4. I thought you parked in one place and you got where you needed to go.
Gotcha. No. Everything's so spread out there. It is a different beast. So we're excited to kind of share some tips with you as we go along.
And with that being said,
enjoy the show.
Yes. All right. So today we are welcoming Jordan and Daniel. Daniel, do you go by Daniel or do you go by Dan?
Whatever.
You're okay with either? I hear both in your podcast.
When I first met him, I went by Dan, and then ever since I do Daniel, but he can't get out of the habit.
It's stuck with me as Dan, and so when I tell him when I tell the people who he is, I say Dan, and then when he says it, he says Daniel.
Yeah.
It's Daniel when you're in trouble, and Dan when you're behaving.
Well, probably.
Sure, something like that.
Anyway, we have Jordan and Dan from the Disneyland Forever podcast, which is such a fun podcast. I really enjoyed listening to it, and we're happy to have you guys here.
Thanks for being with us, guys.
Thank you.
And
we're so excited.
Yes, I'm excited too. And really quick before we get into the episode, and we'll talk about it again at the end, but you can find them on Instagram at Disneyland Forever. It's got a weird spelling though. Disneyland has no A.
It does.
And then 4 EVR. So DISNEYLND, the number 4 EVR. So go find them on Instagram. And then their podcast is called Disneyland Forever, and it's spelled normally, but with a 4.
Yes.
If you guys struggle with it at all, reach out and we'll help you find them because they're worth finding. So anyway, we are going to talk today about Disneyland attractions versus Walt Disney World attractions. And we have it narrowed down to like 10 attractions that are available at both parks in some form. There are a couple that are not the exact same in both parks. And we're going to pick a winner. Which resort has the better attraction?
Interesting. Because we have a lot of opinions.
And I think our listeners have a lot of opinions, so they can play along at home and let us know if we get it right or if we get it wrong.
Yeah.
We're going to totally get it right.
Always.
Of course.
I'm curious to see if we all agree on everything, though. Do you think we will?
Probably not.
Oh.
Probably most of the time. We'll see.
It's going to be my fault. I can tell you right now, it's probably going to be because of me.
That sounds like you've got some hot takes, maybe, about these things.
He likes to be very contrary-wise.
Don't like... It's very contrary to say I'm not contrary.
He likes to be contrary. I do not.
How many times have each of you been to Disney World?
So I grew up going to Disney World, even though I grew up in Utah. We just went there every summer. So I liked Disney World better and would go all the time. And then I went to Disneyland first and I was like, wait, where's the castle? There's no castle here. And so, but since meeting him and going more, I
converted him.
We've been to Disneyland more. He had never been to Disney World.
I had not gone to Disney World until after we met. And then I got there and, Epcot was my dream. And then how many times have we been together? Like
probably 10
or 15. Wow. Most of them during the pandemic because we didn't have any other option.
And you guys are DVC owners, but you're DVC owners at the Grand Californian, right?
Yes.
We have it at the Grand Californian. We also have it in Hawaii and one resort in Florida.
the Polynesian.
Oh, nice.
Wow.
That's
We're all
dreamy.
over the place.
Super dreamy.
That's awesome, though. Okay, good. So you guys are really good. We are a little bit more noobs when it comes to Walt Disney World. I grew up in upstate New York, and so we went to Walt Disney World a few times when I was a kid. And then I've taken my family once just last year.
Mm-hmm. And then first time was in 2019, and then I've been a handful of times since then for some trainings, and then with my family a couple of times. So
we bow down to you. You guys are the experts, but we have opinions. So we don't have to be experts to have opinions, right?
Nope.
No, absolutely not.
That's the American way.
That's right. We're totally keeping that in. Okay, let's start with the Jungle Cruise.
So this is one that I don't know that I noticed a lot of differences in. So you'll have to tell me.
I know that you go through the tomb. What is it? A catacomb.
Yeah, the weird tunnel thing.
There's a tunnel.
And so the skipper stops talking so that it cannot be echoey, and then you go through. I think it's kind of cool. It's creepy. It has the fake, like the spider and stuff in there, and the little shrine.
They're not fake.
Oh, okay, sorry. The very, very real spider that then Jordan would be.
But I'm not actually upset about it.
Isn't there a cat?
There's a tiger.
Yeah, there's a tiger in there. Yeah. I think that's the only major difference. There's a couple of small
other things, but that's the biggest one that everyone remembers is the tunnel.
Okay.
Which I think, honestly, I thought it was weird when the skipper turns the light off and shuts his microphone off and sits down. I think it's weird. And so for me, I like Disneyland's better.
So I have a question really fast, though. Do they do the Jingle Cruise overlay at Disney World still?
I think they used to. I don't think they do
I don't think they have
okay.
recently.
Okay. Because I was going to say,
the same as Disneyland.
If they do the Jingle Cruise, then I would say Disney World gets a point there. They do get a point for having a lightning lane in place at Disney World and not at Disneyland.
I stand by
that. Is true.
I stand by Disneyland.
I slightly favor Disney World because I like creepy, but
I favor Disneyland because I feel like Aaron, when they stop talking, I'm just sitting there like, I want it on this cruise because of the skipper.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And at Disneyland, it's an opening day attraction, which means that's been there since Walt.
Yeah, and Walt has been on that ride.
Yeah, and so I gotta vote Disneyland.
I'm voting Disneyland also.
Oh,
Disneyland.
I'm the contrary wise.
Oh. All right, let's move.
That's not how it is. Nope.
I like it. Let's move to Pirates. I bet we're in agreement on Pirates.
Oh, geez.
I hope
Don't
so.
even guess.
Disneyland.
By far. We had some friends that we took for their first time, and they're huge Disney freaks, huge Disneyland freaks. And so we told him, that's a couple, we told him, you're not going to like it as much, but we didn't tell him anything about it.
We told him it was going to be shorter, which it is shorter.
And then he gets off and he's like, what the freak was that?
That was not Pirates.
And I'm sorry. Yeah, for those who haven't been on it in Florida, it's not only shorter, it doesn't have much of the caves. Mm-hmm. And I'm sorry, I want to go up the waterfall at the end.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. And hear the parrots walking.
You get to go up the waterfall.
Yes.
And
and the down waterfall is 1 foot above down.
Right.
And there's only one drop, right? At Walt Disney World?
And it's a tiny one.
And it's small.
Yep.
Yeah. Way shorter.
And they take your picture there.
They blind you before.
That's right.
I forgot that.
They take your picture.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very, very bright.
The queue, I liked the queue. I like both queues. It was weird. Isn't it in Adventureland?
Yes.
I think that's weird.
Yes.
It's also weird in New Orleans Square, though. It doesn't belong anywhere, really. I mean,
they should have Pirates Land.
Right.
That's what they have in Shanghai.
Oh, yeah.
It's, the line is cool because it's like, it's a fun little bunker, or like you're in like you see the cannons and stuff. So it's kind of, it's interesting, but you don't get the same smell either.
I want the pirate smell.
Pirate smell is Blue Bayou.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's true. And that's a bonus, too, that Blue Bayou exists at Disneyland, and it totally does not. So I think that's a point. Okay, Disneyland wins that one for sure.
Yep.
Yes, Disneyland.
Okay, Big Thunder Mountain.
Disneyland's.
A little bit Disneyland.
Why?
When I was a kid, I thought they were essentially the same, and I loved Walt Disney Worlds, but I don't know if now I notice it differently, or since we go to Disneyland more, the Walt Disney World one is more rickety.
The thing that really puts it over the edge for me is since they added all the smoke and lighting effects in the last tunnel in Disneyland, because I really think that brings home the Thunder Mountain idea. And so, plus for me, it's always weird because Thunder Mountain in Walt Disney World is an exact mirror image of the one in Disneyland.
Right.
And so then my brain is like very confused because I'm so used to the one direction.
Right. And it's really hard for me to pick who to squish on the Disney World one because it throws me off.
Katie likes to sit on the right side and smash people. It's not fun. Okay, so I will say this. My kids, when we went to Walt Disney World, my kids liked the rickety feeling. They really liked it because it's a runaway mine train, right? Oh. And so they really loved the rickety feeling. And so for this one, for me, I don't know. For sure, Anaheim is a lot more smooth. And there is that extra scene when you're in the mine and everything's blowing up, except for it hasn't been working lately.
Oh, it worked when I was there last.
It's hit or miss.
It's been hit or miss.
Yeah, when the last couple times I've been there, the explosion, the mist doesn't happen. So
yeah, the final explosion. One of our friends, April, who we've had on our podcast,
I listened to her the other day. Actually,
she says it's funny because the bats there look like a fourth grade
in Walt
Disney World look like a fourth grader did like a diorama project and
like in the opening scene when you go past the bats, they just look like
so terrible.
Kindergartners like, look, Mom, a bat.
Oh, that's so funny.
I really like the queue at Walt Disney World.
I was going to say the only main difference that I think I even noticed is the big picture of Tony Baxter sitting in the one at Disney World, which I think is so funny. Yes.
Yeah. I like the queue a lot. I like the rickettiness of it. So this one for me, I feel like they're very different. I can't pick a winner on this one.
I picked Disneyland.
I picked Disneyland.
Paris is the best, though.
Yeah, I've heard.
That's a totally different. Yeah.
I watched
intense.
I watched the videos of the Paris one and have serious FOMO. Someday.
It's pretty amazing.
Yeah. Someday soon. We should totally.
My sister is heading to Disneyland Paris this week. I just found out today.
Whatever.
I know.
How rude.
I know. She didn't even invite me. All right, what's next on our list?
All right, next on the list, Space Mountain.
Oh.
No contest.
Hands down on this one for me, too.
Yeah. And Space Mountain at Disneyland is my absolute favorite ride. And when I ride it at Disney World, I'm like, I have to ride Space Mountain. But then I always get in it, I'm like, it's like the Matterhorn. I mean, it's so much more like the Matterhorn than it is Space Mountain at Disneyland.
Which is why they made it. They made it so that because they knew
the Matterhorn.
Yeah, they knew they couldn't have an outdoor roller coaster in Florida's gross humidity.
Right.
But like in the Matterhorn, I don't feel like I'm going to fall out. At Space Mountain, I feel like I'm going to fall out.
Well, on the Matterhorn,
when you're taller like us, because
on the Matterhorn, you can at least see where you're going and where the next turn is coming.
Yes.
On Space Mountain, you can't at Disney World. So it's a back adjuster for me. It's terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely a chiropractic event at the Matterhorn.
Yes.
So I like that there's 2 tracks. I wish we had 2 tracks at Disneyland because I think it moves the line so much quicker, and I like that. And I like
that is true.
I like that you don't know if you're going to get Alpha or Omega, and so it's kind of a surprise, like a choose your own adventure. But I say Disneyland wins this one too, and I like sitting next to my kids.
Right.
I do not love bobsled style.
Yes. Yeah.
Same.
One of the main things for us that's amazing about Disneyland is the music.
I was just going to say, you get my music.
So great. And then
in Florida,
there's no music.
Well, they play music.
Yeah,
it's just on speakers in and around the building.
Right.
And so sometimes it's louder as you're like, whoa, I just passed a speaker.
And then there's this weird whooping noise at the end that we made fun of. Whoop, 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 whoop.
As you're going around in a circle, you're just like, I don't know what's going on.
It's so strange.
It's like you're a slingshot.
It also takes your picture before the ride begins.
It starts.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
I don't remember that. That's funny. Yeah.
Because you turn the corner and you're like, oh, what was that? That was your picture.
I would like to see some pictures. Do you have any that are really good where you're surprised?
We always, since we know it's in weird spots, we always
do something stupid.
Oh,
awesome.
Well, I'm a fan of the speakers in the headrests. Mm-hmm. So you have that immersive experience. I like the side-by-side seating. But I do really like the 2 tracks.
Much smoother.
Yeah. And it's the hidden Mickey on the ones. Everyone always says that about the speakers in Disneyland. I'm like, no, they're just speakers.
Hey, let people have their hidden Mickey joy.
Let people have their magic, Dan. All right. Next up, Splash Mountain.
Oh. I only know one main difference on this one.
Okay, what?
The vehicles, the ride vehicles.
Right. So again, we have side-by-side versus bobsled. Walt Disney World has side-by-side.
And Disney World has a big fountain shooter thingy that comes up and hits me every time I've been on it.
Really?
And soaks me.
Yeah,
yes.
Water poked Jordan in the eye once.
Yes.
The first time I went on it, it like smacked me in the eye, and Dan's like, "Did you enjoy it?" No, I'm in pain.
So I
there's a
love
few.
the queue. I love the Orlando queue so much more than Disneyland. I love that they have the misters and the fans in the queue. I love the queue at night.
Yes.
It's all outdoors, and I think the queue is darling in Orlando. I love the Splash Mountain
When
queue.
I was 10 years old and 12 years old and other teenage years, you had to stand out there for 3 hours because there was no such thing as Fast Pass. So it was a necessity.
Yeah.
That doesn't sound very good.
This is about to be an obsolete discussion since it's changing over to Bayou Adventure soon, but
Yeah. We'll see.
Yeah.
It'll probably be the same ride vehicles, we assume, and who knows.
yeah.
But
I take issue with Splash Mountain at Disneyland where most people don't, because I'm a music person, and I also know Song of the South because we grew up watching bootleg versions of that all the time.
Right.
In my household, I don't know about anyone else, but I got very used to the music. I'm just, like everyone's watching bootleg copies of old 40s movies, and the original music is supposed to be more like the Southern type, like what you think of as zippity doo dah. That's the way that's supposed to be. But then when Splash Mountain at Walt Disney World, to make it fit Frontierland, because that's where it's at, they changed the music to make it more country.
they twanged it up.
And so if you listen to the music, it sounds a lot more like a country Western show. And it bothers me. I'm like, no, this is not what it's supposed to be.
Huh.
And I know most people don't care, but it bugs me because small things like that bug me.
Yeah.
And then also I don't like the art direction in the Florida version. So I know I'm usually the only one that's doesn't like it as much in Florida, but small things get
I
me.
still prefer Florida's because it was my original, and I like the side-by-side. We have a thing.
It is nice to be side by side.
We have a thing at Disneyland we call Thwompage, where you are going on Splash Mountain and you don't get hit by water from it coming. It comes up from the bottom and is a wave into the side, a wave of 10 feet of water, and then you get completely drenched. That doesn't happen
From
at
the
Disney
neck
World.
down.
Yeah. I had, when we were there a couple of weeks ago, my daughter and I were in row 3 and row 4. We had a couple in front of us and they had never been on it. And when we went through that the big drop in the dark after you go under the bear's butt, and the one that nobody knows is going to drench them, right? Which we knew.
Yes.
Anyway, we went down, and I don't know what happened, but the tidal wave came up over the front, and I'm fourth in place. It landed on my head. Nobody in front of me got wet on that one. My hair was pasted to the top of my head because I was so wet. And I just sat there, and it was just I couldn't see it. Obviously, it was dark, but in my mind's eye, I could just see it going over everybody else and landing on me. I vote.
We will not do the front row at Disneyland. We will not do it. It's because I don't want my feet just squishing, and I get blisters from that. So
I've heard that you don't get as wet at Walt Disney World. Apparently, except for the
you
fountain.
don't.
Except for that big fountain. If you time it just right, it just lands on
you
my
get stabbed
head.
in the eye by water, but that's all.
Yep.
I think I vote Walt Disney World on this one as well. I like the side-by-side. I really like the queue. I know that Disneyland's big drop is a sharper angle and a little bit higher, 5 feet higher than Walt Disney World's, and a little bit more steep. I mean, that's kind of fun, but I still think I prefer Walt Disney World.
I'm going to vote Disneyland on this one.
Oh, why?
I'm Disneyland.
I don't like country music.
Good for you.
Good reason to say.
Okay, Peter Pan.
Disneyland.
Ooh.
Why?
There's a lot of reasons why. So at Disneyland, my favorite scene is the London scene. The rest of the ride, I really couldn't care less about. But when you're flying over London, that's the most magical part to me. And over Neverland, all the parts where you're just from afar. It's just really, really cool. I just think it's really awesome how they can create such cool effects with really very little technology. But then in Disney World, when you get to Neverland, you're flying through a much larger set of Neverland. And it just is weird to me because as I fly through, I'm like, apparently, what is scale? Because you come around the corner and there's these tiny little clouds with a little rainbow, and then there's the Indian chief that's 3 times bigger than the rainbow sitting right next to it.
It's the same size as the mountain. They have very large Indian chiefs and mermaids and Neverland there.
And also,
so in Walt Disney World, when you go to the end and there's Captain Hook and Smee, Captain Hook does not have a British accent.
and Smee's voice
Smee's
is
voice is
low.
just generic. So it's help me, Smee, help me. Oh, I'm coming, Captain. You're like, what?
Where did those voices come from?
They're just random cast members off the street. I do love the queue area if you stand by at Walt Disney World. It is super cute, very interactive.
I would
That's
totally
the only
agree.
plus I think of
It is a plus. And the fact that it has Lightning Lane.
Yes, I was going to say Lightning Lane at Walt Disney World. I hate the queue. Loathe the queue at Disneyland. It's
claustrophobic.
It's pretty boring.
And when we got stuck on it, when we were there in August and it broke down while we were in line, like there's no way out. You're trapped when you're in that little labyrinth.
Yep.
Yeah. So I'm going to vote, just for nostalgia purpose, I'm going to vote for Walt Disney World. It's the first attraction I ever remember going on as a child, and I thought it was magical, and so it gets my vote just for that reason. It's fine at both places. It's not my favorite attraction.
It's not ours either.
I'm going to vote Disneyland.
Yeah, I still barely say Disneyland, but I love
barely.
the queue. Walt Disney World.
Yeah.
Just barely.
Good call. I'm the same.
All right, moving right along to Haunted Mansion.
Oof, this is going to be a tough
hard.
one. Yeah.
With the announcements that they're adding the Hatbox Ghost in Florida, that makes it harder.
Yeah.
I agree. One of the
Because I know
things,
you guys were talking about that.
yes, I don't know how I feel about it. Okay. Anyway, one of the things that I really love, personal reason for me to love Walt Disney World is, and I have a picture of this somewhere on my phone, but my husband's name is Dustin and my son's name is Asher. And when you're leaving, when you're coming out the exit, they have the wall of tombstones. And there are two right next to each other, Dustin T. Dust and Asher T. Ashes. And so right next to each other.
Gosh.
Yes. So I love that. I love that there's that little personal to my family thing there. I love the blinking Leota in the queue.
Oh, right.
Yep.
When she
I
pops
love the
her eyeballs
tombstones outside of Disney World, just in general. There's so much more to see. The queue is very interactive. I personally, I've always loved the Walt Disney World one, and it just became clearer that I noticed going to Disneyland more that there's the like MC Escher footprints stuff, like the what do you call it, where they're like bright green footprints and stuff on the stairs. It's just such a cool scene.
I do really like the MC Escher room that they had in Florida.
And so without the Hatbox Ghost, that did bring it down a notch. But now that they're going to put it back, definitely I love Walt Disney World's the best.
I like that Walt Disney World takes a picture, takes a photo.
Yep.
My issue with the Walt Disney World one is, well, first of all, the stretching room doesn't go anywhere.
Right.
So you can tell that you're just standing there in a room.
Right.
And
Often when the queue backs up, they have both doors open, so it ruins
you just walk through and you're like, cool. That was a thing. During COVID, that's the way it was.
Yes.
It's like, just
During-
walk through. I'm like,
Yep.
And during
Awesome.
COVID, it was so hard because you'd be outside for so long and then you'd come in and your eyes could not adjust quickly enough and it was
Right.
pitch
Yes.
black. Oh, that was hard.
Yep.
Okay. Anyway.
Don't trip.
but then there's a couple elements that are walk through at Disneyland that are ride through at Disney World. And I like walking through them. The hallway with the portraits and the busts are part of the ride. And my problem is I really like walking past them.
Yeah.
Because they have that
And-
feature, that effect where they follow you.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can go back and forth as opposed to just on the ride. It's one way. But they do have more busts.
But I don't like the fact they have more busts because then my eyes are always noticing those busts aren't working well, but the ones directly in front of me are. Because, the effect doesn't work as well if you're not staring directly at it.
Right.
And so that's why I'm like, so I'm like barely Disneyland.
So I don't know
So
if
just
this,
barely.
I don't know if this is fair, but I have to give an advantage to Disneyland for the fact that they have the overlay
The
at
overlay.
the holiday time, the Nightmare Before Christmas,
That is
which
true.
is that's my preferred version. So there's my vote.
I don't know if I have a clear winner on this one either. I'm not contrary.
It's hard.
I have decision paralysis in a lot of things. Not just this.
You're all winners.
I can't decide.
Maybe you'll pick one by the end.
You have to decide.
Oh, they're not letting you out of it.
Okay, fine. I'll stick with Disneyland.
Everybody.
There's some things that I really like about Disney Worlds, but I'll stick with Disneyland's. Again, I love the story of the Hatbox Ghost, which is one of the reasons I'm a little disappointed that it's going in Orlando. I know it was intentionally or it was intentioned to be in Orlando in the beginning as well, but it didn't work in Disneyland, so they scrapped it. But he did exist in Disneyland for a minute. And I don't know.
Yes. Sitting there in D23, I felt the exact same way when they announced we're going to add the Hackbox Coast to Florida. All the Florida people were cheering, and I was like, oh.
There goes
And
our
I have to
special
say,
thing.
too,
Our thing.
I feel like, too, the mansion fits into New Orleans Square at Disneyland. It fits into that whole theming. And the mansion in Orlando is just kind of there. And it's a really cool-looking building, but it just doesn't fit into anything for me. And I don't love the brick versus the old, southern plantation looking. I don't know. I like the look of Anaheim better.
All right. Are we ready to leave Magic Kingdom? Oh, no. We're going to do Buzz.
Buzz. Which are
Astroblasters.
slightly different.
Yes. Slightly.
Yes.
And I don't know if I ever did. I ride? I don't even know if I rode Astroblasters. But
Astroblasters.
Space Ranger Spin.
Yes,
is what's in Walt Disney World.
So it is a different name.
Yeah, Space Ranger Spin is in Florida, and Astroblasters is in California.
Right.
So for those of you who haven't been on the one in Walt Disney World, you can't pick up the blaster gun.
It's mounted to the ride vehicle.
So it has very limited motion, and there's no different Zs to attack. They're just RZs.
Oh.
So like the one in California, you have like circles, you have triangles, you have diamonds, and all of them are different points.
Right.
Florida, they're all just Zs.
Oh, that's boring.
I love making fun of Zurg in Walt Disney World. He sounds like Batman. Buzz Lightyear, I will come get you. I am Batman.
What he sounds like to me is, because I grew up watching Inspector Gadget, and he sounds like Dr. Claw.
Dr. Claw.
On Inspector Gadget.
Yes, I can totally picture that.
And that's
You expect him to spin around with a cat on his chair?
Yes, exactly. Like stroking it, and it's like, oh.
There's also this tunnel that is just projections, but they are so blurry and so non-HD.
And it serves no purpose.
You can't get points in there. I just don't get it.
It's for you to rest your trigger finger for a minute to get ready for the next round.
And oftentimes for us, that's where we get stopped on the ride. And so we're just sitting there like, this is cool.
Isn't the trigger different too? I feel like I just use my thumb or something. I don't know. It's just so bizarre.
Because the whole time I'm just like, I can't even tell if I'm hitting anything. So
it is just not good.
I feel that way.
Disneyland by far.
I feel that way on Astroblasters though too. And I think, what was my score when we went?
It's not like Astroblasters is amazing.
My score when we went in August was like 13,000 points.
She's not very good at that one. It's fine.
We know all the tricks.
I have scored over 100,000 before. So you do know all the tricks. You need to teach us.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, we totally will.
Okay. Let's plan a trip together, and then you can just give us an in-person tutorial. Okay.
Jordan has had way more than 1 million points before.
Whoa.
The way to definitely cheat is when it stops. For
when you just stop, you just sit there and just, we know we're at the same target over and over.
Yeah.
But even without that, he can still usually get around that. So
that's amazing.
600,000 is usually mine.
I mean, 13,000, guys. Don't be jealous. I've gone over 100,000 before. I'm saying.
A 3-year-old gets, just so you know.
Shut your mouth.
Yeah.
It's not nice at all. Okay. So now we're going to move on to some attractions that are on both coasts in different forms.
Wait, we didn't get to pick which Buzz we liked better.
Oh, I thought we did. I thought it was obvious. Sorry.
There's no choice.
I didn't think we needed to say it. I thought it was just Disneyland.
I was saying
listeners don't know.
I know.
You have to delineate.
Okay, sorry.
Disney World does have a better ride photo than Disneyland does.
Oh, Disneyland.
Yes.
And my photo on Disneyland always looks like this.
And you can't even tell it's you.
Right in your face.
Yep.
You can't see anything.
I have to go through the pictures like 20 times before
You're
I'm
like, wait, is that me?
No, that's not me.
Well, and it doesn't matter how busy it is. There's always 7 million people waiting, so you have to just wait to
put your email in.
Put your email in.
That's so funny.
Okay, what's the winner, everybody?
Disneyland.
I'll just say Disneyland. I don't know if I ever did Space Ranger Spin. I'll say Disneyland. I'll go with the crowd.
Don't waste your time.
Okay, now we're going to move on to some attractions that are on both coasts, but in different versions. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4 of those. So let's start off with Dinosaur versus Indiana Jones. Same ride, different themes.
Different story. There's a clear winner for me.
There's a clear winner for me, too.
Yeah,
There's a very clear winner.
Okay, good.
Definitely Indiana Jones.
For sure,
100%.
100%.
Indy all the way.
People love Dinosaur.
Yes, people have been very upset about the Zootopia possible retheming back there. Like, what are they going to do with Dinosaur?
My thing, I do like Dinosaur. I think it would be so much better if it had like a soundtrack.
Yes.
Yeah.
It feels really quiet with.
Make it more magical.
Yes, I agree.
It's very quiet.
It's quiet with just dinosaurs talking to you every once in a while.
It's very, very loud. The
Right.
dinosaurs are at 700 decibels for some reason. So
I feel too like.
And I'm clinging to him the whole time. Every time the dinosaur's like about to roar, you're like, ah.
Where they take your picture, everybody looks like, I don't know, everyone looks either bored to death or like they're going to die. There's no in between.
That's the two of us, bored to death, Dan, and then I'm about to die.
I will say that I think the people who love Dinosaur haven't ridden Indiana Jones yet.
Maybe so.
I think that they just haven't made it to the West Coast.
Probably.
So Indy for me is the better ride.
Oh, yeah. Indy's in my top
Indy has
5
the
of all
best.
time.
The queue is just so amazing. I know part of it's the functionality of getting out under everything to go kind of.
But they didn't have to do such a good job with it.
It's just so good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the queue is amazing. And that's the queue that I always use as an example to be like, Disneyland is not like other theme parks. Like it's immersive and they bring you into the experience.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the queue that I always use as the example is Indiana Jones.
And the pre-show at Dinosaur is extremely cheesy. And
Yes.
Oh, it's like beyond cheesy.
Yes, it is. You're right. The big dinosaur is really cool, though. In the one room where they have the big guy.
Oh yeah,
That's cool. It doesn't win for me.
It had a lot of good steps. Like, there were good things they did. It was just that I don't feel it came together like Indy did.
No.
Yeah.
Nope. I
And
agree.
that whole Dinoland USA area just needs a big
it's sad.
kick in the pants.
It needs to be plussed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So everyone agrees? Disneyland?
Yes. Indy.
Okay.
For sure.
Yes.
All right. Test versus Radiator Springs Racers. Clear winner for me on this one, too.
I want
This is
to
hard
hear
for me.
I want to hear from the Epcot man.
I love Epcot, too.
So my thing is, there's Test Track, which is faster.
Mm-hmm.
And because I love Epcot, even for like all of its, we're going to, infotainment thing. I love like the first part of the ride where you're going through all that quote unquote testing for your ride vehicle. I think it looks really cool. I think it's a lot of fun. Test Track. And when it gets outside, it's a lot faster than Radiator Springs Racers, although the fast part is a lot shorter. But then Radiator Springs Racers, the dark ride element is just so cute when it works, when it's working. And that has the hills, like the fact you get to go up and down in the fast part.
You do love that feeling.
It's so fun. I love it. Only I don't giggle like I am the clown on it.
Yes, you do. I'm going to record it sometime. We're going to have a little podcast with just your recordings.
I think if I had to pick one, it's like just barely Test Track for me.
Really?
Okay, so let me tell you something that might change your mind. When we went last year, because of COVID, we were queued outside for the most part, and then they would let us in when everyone cleared out, and so we were outside the entire time pretty much. And as you're entering the building and the fast part of the track is right above you, it's up on pylons, right? So
Yep, it moves. Yeah, it's scary looking.
It's terrifying. Like my kids were like, "Mom," and I was like, "What?" And they're like, "It's moving." And I was like, "No, it's not." And I look and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, it totally is." I am 100% sure a car is going to fly off of there at some point.
Well, what a fun time.
Yes.
I mean, there's no better way to go, I guess, flying through Epcot. But I have to say,
into the water by the Odyssey Pavilion.
Right. Or land on one of those awesome food booths during the food festivals.
There you go.
So I have to give it to Radiator Springs Racers just for the sheer safety factor.
But Radiator Springs explodes and has smoke coming out.
Yeah,
so,
that's what I was just going to say. And I would say they both equally shut down as often as each other, too.
Yeah, that's
Man.
probably true.
Yeah, that's true. For different reasons, but they do shut down.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I don't know who designed Test Track, but yeah, anytime there's even one drop of water, it closes for hours.
It's in the state of Florida.
Yeah, quote unquote the Sunshine State. It rains every 20 minutes, so I don't know who designed that, but I definitely say Radiator Springs Racers. I do love Test Track and how fast it is, but Radiator Springs Racers just has such a cute story. It's not for me mostly the thrill, but
I agree. And aside from the safety of it, I appreciate the storyline better. I don't like.
I think I pointed that out to Jordan once. The moving.
Oh, it's a lot, you
suspension
guys.
system there.
That's
it's
really
a lot.
funny.
Like, did you notice it when you were there?
No.
Oh, it's a lot.
That's really funny.
We'll have to notice it
It
when we're
moves
there.
quite a bit.
Sounds
It's like a
sounds
foot.
good.
It's just all part of the Imagineering. Oh. It's a suspension system.
Yeah, sure.
Part of the thrill is being afraid for your life while you're on the ride, right?
I don't want to be afraid for like legitimate reasons. I want to be afraid like fake reasons.
Got it.
It's not Six Flags or...
Yeah.
Okay, so what wins for you?
Oh, Radiator Springs Racers. Right. I get the chills every time I go on that ride when you come around the corner and the waterfall and the music swells. Yeah,
it does it for
awesome.
Me.
Oh, look who's contrary now.
I told you.
Okay, next up, these are not exactly the same, but they're similar. Incredicoaster versus Rock and Roller Coaster.
So these are the two biggest thrill rides at each one, I would say.
The two big roller coasters.
They both
have
at the beginning.
Yep, they both their launches
with upside down elements.
Yes, Rock and Roller Coaster has two upside downs. Well, a corkscrew.
Yep.
So it has a loop and a corkscrew.
I think Incredicoaster is more fun.
This is a tough one.
This is a tough one.
My thing is Rock and Roller Coaster. Let me say the right ride.
Yeah.
Rock and Roller Coaster. It's super fun, and it launches you immediately into the first inversion, and so it's like intense on intense. But then I feel like if you're not in that ride, if it's not currently launching you or taking you upside down, it's more just trying to fill in the gap. And you're just kind of like waiting until it builds up enough to get to the next one.
But the music's so cool.
The music is cool. But then Incredicoaster, especially since it became the Incredicoaster, has that story, really cool music, and the fact that I just think it's a really fun roller coaster from start to finish.
Yeah, I agree. And it's got smells in it and feels like it has
California
heat.
Screamin'. If it was California Screamin' versus Rock and Roller Coaster, I would say Rock and Roller Coaster because I went on that as a kid and grew up with it. Absolutely love it. Love the music. Love the cheesy lady. the pre-show.
Yes.
But for me right now, Incredicoaster because it's so cute, the storyline
and I am the opposite of that. If it was California Screamin' versus Rock and Roller Coaster, I would pick California Screamin'. But I love Rock and Roller Coaster. I love the queue. I love the dark part of it where you're not sure what's coming next. I like the two inversions. I like the neon lights. I like the limo. I like everything about it. So for me, Rock and Roller Coaster wins for sure.
And I pick Incredicoaster.
Oh, look who's contrary now.
You win.
Okay, last, but I feel like we saved the very best for last.
Yeah,
and maybe
this is a hard one.
And maybe this is the one that's going to get a little controversial. We'll see. Guardians of the Galaxy versus Tower of Terror.
Oh, that's so hard.
It's not hard for me.
It's not hard for me.
I don't know. So I absolutely love the Tower of Terror. I was always planning as a teen and a young adult to retire to Disneyland and work at the Tower of Terror.
Nice.
I loved it so much.
You want to be a bellhop?
I want to be a bellhop. I think it's so awesome. I want to scare people like as the door's opening. So when they changed it, I was like, I'll give it a try. And Walt Disney World, to me, I love the added element of going forward you're going through the Twilight Zone. And it's just so iconic for me. Guardians, I like Guardians after Monsters After Dark better.
Oh,
so
interesting.
That's because it has a better storyline. So for us, Guardians of the Galaxy, it's clear, and you know that it happened. Disney admitted that it happened. It was rushed in just a few months to say, turn this hotel into a fortress coming from the sky, but they didn't do that good of a job of doing that. It just is clearly a hotel still with extra stuff
with
and
some
paints
antenna
and pipes on it.
Yes.
Right.
And you're going on a quote VIP tour through the boiler room. Wow, that's VIP. But whereas the Monsters After Dark, you're trying to sneak in and help Rocket, so it gives a little creepier feel, and I like that. So for me, still, Tower of Terror, I think, is one of the best rides in all of Walt Disney World. So
very cool.
Yeah, it's not that close for me. It's Tower of Terror.
Oh, wow.
I love Guardians of the Galaxy. I think it's a super fun ride. We go on it all the time. I do enjoy it. But when we go to Florida, it's like one of my number one must-dos is to do Tower of Terror because I just love the theming so much. I love the way they went through the whole hotel. And even when it was in Disneyland, the cobwebs everywhere and how creepy it was. The little nods to Twilight Zone episodes that are throughout.
Totally.
I really, really love. And so for me, as much as I like Guardians, I still wish it was Tower.
We also don't understand why Guardians just bounces up and down. They say this to be more like a fun effect or whatever when you're looking at the screens and it just randomly goes slightly up and down. It makes me a little nauseous, but
So for me, it's Guardians.
Yeah,
I think
Guardians for me
is
too.
superior ride. Sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. That's why we did this, right?
I will say, though, I love going to Orlando and riding Tower of Terror. I love
it's unique
it so
there
much.
now.
Yes. And I also love the nostalgia of it. So I mentioned I'm from upstate New York. I'm from Binghamton, New York, which is also where Rod Serling is from. And so he's like our little claim to fame.
that's where my medical school rotations were.
Cute.
At Wilson and
I was born at Wilson.
Lawrence Hospital.
I was
Wow.
born at Wilson. Anyway,
That's so funny.
or was I born at Lord's? I don't know. I think I was born at, my grandmother died at Wilson. I know that one. Anyway, hopefully not while you were there.
Yeah, hopefully I didn't take care of her.
Anyway, so I like that. I love that. And I always have a little special connection to the Tower of Terror and the Twilight Zone. And I do love it. And I love the feel of it there. I always go to queues. I love the queue of the Tower of Terror in Hollywood Studios. But gosh, Guardians is just the better ride for me. It's more fun. I like the fun more than the spook. And so for me, it just wins. And I was really angry when they switched it because I loved Tower of Terror in California Adventure. And I almost was like boycott angry. I was like, I'm never going to ride that. They're ruining
Sounds
it.
stupid.
Sounds stupid. And then I was like, fine, I'll give it a chance. And I love it. It's my favorite attraction.
But mostly when they play the Jackson 5 song.
And that never happens.
Yes, that is the best one, I think.
You didn't get it last time.
I don't ever get it. Ever. Like, I've gotten it like 3 times ever.
Really?
Yeah, it's bad
We've
luck.
done it a few times.
We got it a few times, so the vast majority of the time we get hit me with your best shot,
Oh, I get
Which is not bad.
Steppenwolf all the time.
Free ride?
Yeah.
That one?
All right.
Guys,
Well,
that was awesome.
It was awesome. So wait, okay, let's do this. Let's do an
That was
overall.
fun.
What's your winner overall? Which coast do you prefer most overall?
Well, for Magic Kingdom comparing, there's no comparison. The Magic Kingdom is awful. Disneyland by far.
Totally agree.
it's like Disneyland light.
Yes.
I always
The
tell
water
people
tastes terrible.
yes. And everything is so
Don't drink the
far
water.
apart.
Yeah, it's so spread out there.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it
there's fewer attractions, but it's further apart. It's weird.
it feels concrete-ier, like more asphalt per
Yes,
square
yes.
foot. And I don't like that.
Yeah.
I agree.
That's actually the reason why we were so worried when they said they were going to be replacing grass at Disneyland with AstroTurf, because the AstroTurf in the hub at the Magic Kingdom is very clearly AstroTurf. It's
Ew.
not the good stuff. And then when they unveiled the stuff at Disneyland, it was like, oh, thank heavens, they decided to go for the good stuff.
Yeah,
And they took out
it looks
beautiful
okay.
trees that had been there since Walt Disney World was there, and they just took everything out so that
In the
a
hub.
few more people could have a better view
Fireworks
of
for
the,
you.
of the fireworks
Darn
shows.
it.
I mean,
That's really sad.
yeah.
But
I
they
never
have
got to
but
see
guys,
that.
they have the big castle.
I actually don't like Cinderella Castle that much.
You like it better now they
I
paint
do like it better now since it's been repainted, but I am always of the opinion that bigger is not necessarily better.
I really appreciate that you called it Cinderella Castle and not Cinderella's Castle. We've talked about this.
Yes.
But comparing Disneyland versus Walt Disney World, it's still barely Disneyland, like 51-49 for me, even though there's the nostalgia of me going to Walt Disney World as a child, and there's so much to do, and you have to spend 10 days or longer to go there. It's just, there's so many negatives. The transportation,
The state of Florida.
itself, the weather in
Yes, the
Florida.
weather.
There's so much negative.
All right, guys, that was awesome.
That was awesome.
Thank you so much.
So much.
Yes.
And again, if you want to listen to their podcast, which you should, it's the Disneyland Forever podcast, available anywhere you listen to podcasts, right?
Yes.
Okay. And then go find them on Instagram also at Disneyland with no A, the number 4 EVR.
I wish it was easier to remember.
It's okay. It's okay. People are greedy with their
You find us and then you don't have to
Instagram
remember it anymore.
That's right.
We could have like random exclamation marks and commas and stuff, so
Yeah.
it's not that bad.
Yeah, I
Or
agree.
like 1, 2, 3, 5, 7 or something.
Yeah, I like it. I think it's perfect.
It is. It's
Thank you
cute.
so much to Dan and Jordan for joining us today. And
Thank you so much for having us.
Yes.
It was fun.
It was so much fun. And if you guys haven't subscribed to our podcast, please do it right now and also leave us a rating and a review. We really appreciate it.
And make sure you're following us on Instagram at ropedrop.parkhop and on Facebook as well. And go enter our giveaway.
Yes, we're drawing later today. So if you're listening Friday morning, there's still time. Go enter the giveaway and we'll announce a winner tonight.
See you guys next week.
Bye.